Hello, and a very warm welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, for those of you who have followed the channel from the early stages, you will know that Bulgaria is a country I have always backed when it comes to the real estate market. Now, over the 12 months leading to end of June 2024, prices across the country went up by just over 15%. By the end of 2024, it is expected that Bulgaria will only trail to Turkey when it comes to real estate appreciation. Unfortunately, this means that property prices are not a bargain they once were. In the short term, it is possible you will see price corrections here. However, at least with regards to larger cities, the long term prospects still look good. Let's not forget that, as mentioned in previous videos, the general rate of taxation at 10% is very low, and Bulgaria has the second lowest government debt ratio to GDP in the European Union. Now, not so long ago on the Black Sea in lovely towns such as Nessebar and Svetivlas, average property prices were less than €1,000 per square meter. They are now both approaching €1,500 per square meter. And in the Golden Sands and Sunny Beach, property now also averages above €1,000 per square meter. Property prices, though, in Balchik are still quite cheap at just under €1,000 per square meter. So Balchik is definitely worth considering here. As I think is the lovely city of Veliko Turnovo, where property averages around €1,200 per square meter. So I think Balchik and Veliko would have made sixth and seventh positions. Anyway, here are my top five, and please let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree and why. So, coming in at number five is Varna. Now, with a population of just under 335,000 and the third largest city in Bulgaria, Varna is a lovely city on the Black Sea and one of my favorite cities in Europe. Last year, Varna came in second place, but once again, in the last year or so, property prices have absolutely skyrocketed. A few years ago, you could find real estate in the center of Varna for about €1,000 per square meter. Now, this is all changed, and in the center, you are looking at an average of around €2,200 per square meter. And in the prestigious Greek quarter, more often than not, it will cost over €2,500 per square meter to buy a property. Now, even in less popular areas like Levski, property costs around €1,700 per square meter, and in Breeze, just outside Varna, €1,900 per square meter. That said, if you take a long term view, buying here might still be a good option. Varna has a unique combination of city life, the beach, and a beautiful sea garden, which is 8 kilometers long. And let's not forget, too, Varna has a nice opera house, Roman baths, and the most important museum in Bulgaria, namely the Archaeological Museum. Varna has plenty of places to eat and drink and is well connected with direct flights to many European cities, plus Tel Aviv as well. And Varna also has good economic diversification, including insurance, banking, manufacturing, and shipping. Now, I also want to add Varna has also got some excellent universities as well. So, academically, it is also a very, very good city. So, coming in at number four is Sofia. Now, with a population of just over 1.2 million, Sofia is the capital and the largest city in Bulgaria. Without doubt, Sofia is a city just keeps on booming. The city has four metro lines and an international airport that flies to numerous destinations in Europe, plus Baku, Yerevan, Marrakesh, Cairo, Doha, Tel Aviv, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Zanzibar. And routes are consistently being added. Sofia is a very dominant city in Bulgaria, with over 100 IT companies having a presence here. And around 50% of direct foreign investment comes into this city. Sofia also accounts for roughly about 40% of Bulgaria's GDP, and around 50% of the working population have university degrees, and many speak foreign languages. Now, unsurprisingly, property prices, just like Varna, have shot up here, with average property prices now above 2,000 euros per square meter on average. And in the center, nearly 3,000 euros per square meter on average. And even in Vitusha, which is a district a fair way south of the center, prices are approaching an average of 2,000 euros per square meter. And in less than a year, prices have gone up as well by around 20%. And if you look at it over 10 years, over the last 10 years, property prices in Sofia have gone up by a staggering 242%. Now, last year, Sofia came in first place, but affordability is becoming an issue here, and that's despite rising wages. So you may potentially see a correction here. Anyway, coming in at number three is Bansko. Now, around 3 years, or perhaps a little bit over 3 years ago, average real estate prices in the ski resort of Bansko were extremely cheap at around 500 euros per square meter. This is now no longer the case, and prices are around 800 to 850 euros per square meter. Now, although this is really in percentage terms very high, in absolute terms, it's still quite cheap for a ski resort. And Bansko is the most popular ski resort in Bulgaria, with 18 pieces covering 75 kilometers. And the advantages of Bansko are that it has bars, clubs, restaurants, an ice skating rink, a bowling alley, and horseback riding as well. And the old town here is very quaint and possibly worth a visit in its own right. Now, the biggest advantages, though, for me, is that it is a summer destination as well as a winter one. People come here and hike. And although Bansko has a small population of 9,000, digital nomads have been coming here in increasing numbers. Now, many will say that there are more developed ski resorts in Western Europe, but in many of these ski resorts, property prices can cost 10 to 15 times more than in Bansko. So I still feel that Bansko is good value for money and deserves to be in third place. The one major downside of Bansko is that it's a long way from a major airport. The nearest airport is actually Sofia International Airport, but to get from Sofia to Bansko will take you around 2.5 hours. So that is a disadvantage. Nevertheless, I still feel for a ski resort, Bansko is quite cheap with regards to buying real estate. Now, coming in at number two is Burgas. The city of Burgas, with a population of around 210,000, is the fourth largest in Bulgaria and the second largest on the Black Sea. Burgas is a city that has a lot to offer. It actually is the busiest airport in the Black Sea in the summer, with direct flight connections to a number of European cities, including a number of cities in the UK, Germany, and Poland, as well as Amsterdam, Vienna, Bratislava, Budapest, Riga, Salzburg, and a number of other cities as well. And also, it flies to Antalya, Tel Aviv, and Dubai. Of course, though, many of these flights are seasonal. Burgas is indeed the gateway to Sunny Beach and the beautiful city of Nesaba, and there's also a railway station and a bus station. The city itself has a nice beach, a marine park, and plenty of choice when it comes to bars, clubs, and restaurants. Burgas, just like Varna, is a nice place to actually sit down, have a coffee, and watch the world go by. And property prices, just like elsewhere in Bulgaria, have been on the rise and now stand at an average of 1,400 euros per square meter. And in the center, you are looking at around 1,800 euros per square meter. So nowhere cheap as they used to be. But prices here, though, are noticeably cheaper than Varna. So I feel it just about deserves its position in second place ahead of Varna and Sofia, where over the last few years prices have really skyrocketed. Now, if you'd invested 10 years or so ago in Burgas, prices would have nearly doubled. But in Varna and Sofia, they've gone up by more in the last 10 years. So perhaps Burgas deserves second place. But coming in At number one is, as you can see, Plovdiv. Now, with a population of just under 350,000, the very much underrated city of Plovdiv is the second biggest in Bulgaria. In 2019, it was the European capital of culture, and it's actually the second oldest living city in Europe. And the Old Town is a candidate to become a World Heritage Site. Now, education wise, it has six universities and a number of state and private colleges, and also branches of other universities. Plovdiv has good infrastructure and a growing IT industry. Now, transport wise, Plovdiv has an extensive public transport system, including a railway station and nearly 30 bus lines, and an airport as well, an international airport. Now, although direct flights to other countries are limited, new routes have been added recently, and it now flies to London, Birmingham, Belfast, Manchester, Istanbul, Dortmund, Memmingen, and Tel Aviv. And I think as Plovdiv becomes more and more discovered, I can only see more routes being added. Now, property wise, what is interesting is that prices here have not risen by as much as Varna, Sofia, and indeed the rest of Bulgaria in the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, they rose by around 8%, but in the last year, by only about 6%, which is much less than Varna and Sofia, where property prices, as already said, skyrocketed. And average property prices in the center of Plovdiv are now cheaper, a fair bit cheaper than Sofia and Varna, and they're cheaper than Burgas as well. So I think here there is potential for more growth. So if I were to choose to invest here or potentially as a lifestyle, I would go for Plovdiv. I think prices here may still have a bit more to go. But those are my thoughts. Please let me know your thoughts. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I shall see you soon on the next video.